What's up, everybody? My name is Cody Yard, and I am the host of The Buzz with the Fuzz. It's Apple Valley's Police Department podcast. We're going to do some fun stuff with this thing. We're going to do chatting with the chief. We're going to do some Q&As, and we're going to do some longer format podcasts where we sit down with folks from specialty units, and you guys get to learn about who they are and what they do. I got my start in journalism back in 2002 as a combat correspondent in the United States Marine Corps. Really excited to be the host of this podcast here with the police department, and I'm really looking forward to bringing you some new fun facts and information that you might not know about Apple Valley's police department. So stick around, buckle up, and let's have some fun. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is kind of a special podcast. We actually have somebody here who works for the city who is not involved in law enforcement. Jordan, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Cody. My name's Jordan Johnson. I'm the Clubhouse coordinator at Valleywood Golf Course, the golf course owned and operated by the city of Apple Valley. So I'm kind of in charge of all the day-to-day stuff, food and beverage, golfers, staffing, just the overall operations that we kind of do in the customer service from that standpoint. I work for Jim Zinks, the general manager at Valleywood, so he kind of handles all the large-scale planning, city planning, all that kind of stuff, and I make sure that our golfers are teeing off on time and have fun, and our staff has got what they need to do to succeed.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How many people work at Valleywood?
So we have 4 full-time employees. Myself, Jim are in the golf operation, and then we have 2 superintendents. Ryan Browning's our lead superintendent. Tom Dostal's our assistant superintendent. And we employ a lot of seasonable, variable hour staff. So we're pretty senior, retired heavy, and then pretty high school, college kid heavy. And then a couple of the part-time jobs, kind of side hustles for some ages in between there. So overall, full peak will be about 60 employees.
Wow.
40 of those probably work from May 1st to August 15th, and then the other 20 kind of help us fill in. So, yeah.
Very cool. So at Valleywood, you guys have, it's just like any other golf course. You got hot dog at the turn.
Yep.
You got beer that goes with that.
Yep.
And you guys are a full bar as well, right?
Correct, yes. So we do have full liquor license as well. So our food and beverage operation is kind of an upscale concession stand. We are there to mainly service the golfers. So the quick stuff at the turn, the hot dogs, the brats, the burgers, sandwiches that they can get. And then serving beer, alcohol, cocktails, all that kind of stuff for the bar as well as to take out on the course. So we're kind of a unique operation, and we serve in the bar and restaurant, and we also serve the 18 holes that are out there with a beverage cart that has full service, full bar as well, so that we can get the customers what they need and keep them moving along and, try to keep that pace of play going as well.
Yeah. I got to imagine that gets kind of tricky because there are some pretty strict rules surrounding alcohol sales.
Exactly. Yep. So state of Minnesota, you can be 18 years old to serve alcohol and tobacco. We serve just a small selection of cigars. So we do have training for that as well. And then obviously, like you said, full liquor. So everyone who comes in goes through a training class provided by the MLBA, Minnesota Liquor Beverage Association. It's about an hour class, gets them trained for selling the booze, how to make sure to sell it responsibly, ensure you're not over serving. And then we go through a little extra training just because we are unique in the fact that, like I said, you're serving 18 holes and you're not always necessarily seeing the customer that is getting the alcohol. So,
right.
You may have someone coming in and buying a 6-pack. They may be splitting that with someone. So being able to not only ensure that they're 21, but everyone that is consuming that product is also 21. And that just takes vigilance and on-the-job training and kind of, if something seems off, it probably is off, and just, paying close attention to that to make sure and keep everyone there. We also have the added weird thing of a lot of who we're selling booze to is getting into a vehicle as far as it's a golf cart. It's not a car out on the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, a lot of them are getting that golf cart taken off there, and so for their safety, our golf cart safety, our employee safety, to make sure we're not over serving out there. They may have a ride home and all that, but there's a little different classification of who we can serve to if they're out on the golf course versus in the bar, because they are still operating that vehicle out there.
Yeah, interesting. I wonder if there's ever been a DWI on a golf cart.
I know there has in Wisconsin a couple times, campgrounds and stuff like that.
Sure,
Florida.
At the campgrounds. Yeah.
Yep.
I wonder about on like an actual. There would have to be some extenuating circumstance, right? Like I'm thinking like they crash it into the pond.
Yes.
Or they hit another golfer. That would be a one.
Yeah, and I kind of always tell our staff, I wish I could tell you someone's going to come in. They're going to come in and it's going to be written, alcoholic on their forehead or jerk on their forehead, but it's not. You got to kind of identify that as you're selling it, and just like I said, stay vigilant. And if you got the one kid who comes up that's 21 years old and he buys a bunch of beer, well, he's 21. Let's make sure everyone's 21 in the group, and we're not selling someone 8 cocktails. Well, we can't sell one person 8 cocktails, so who are these going to, and who's consuming them, just to make sure someone's responsible.
Yeah. MLBA does that training, but I know we have people in our community impact unit.
Correct.
Is that who does the training as well, or?
Police department provides a separate training. So we work with the liquor stores and try and plan, one of those trainings every couple of years or every year to get all our staff out there, just so we can see some of that real life experience. I know Apple Valley will provide some kind of role playing situations just to kind of see what's signs of impairment and irresponsibility, and just kind of learning the rules. Because the thing, not only are we looking out for our customer safety and our products, but ultimately you're responsible for what you're selling across that bar, to a certain extent if you go over the line. So being able to bring that in, ask real life questions to real officers who've dealt with it and know the laws and the rules is key to kind of putting it in a real perspective. As much as, especially, I'm working with a lot of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. They're all great kids, but it gets to a point where I'm almost like, they listen to me and they see it, but it's good to have someone with the uniform come in and reiterate that I'm not just making this up.
Yeah. How long have you been working at Valleywood, or how long have you been working for the city in general?
So I became full-time in 2019, Memorial Day, so I'll be 5 years here in a couple weeks. But City of Apple Valley was my first job when I was 16. At the warming houses. Then I started working at the golf course that spring. So this is actually my 16th golf season at Valleywood.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I've been here a long time. Just kind of like a lot of people in the golf business, just got in, and it's tough to get too angry at work every day. So just kind of stuck in it, and the full-time job opened up in 2019, and I was happy to take it. Yeah.
Now, you said that you've gone through this alcohol and beverage training multiple times, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And Chief Nick Francis was the first person to
give
this training.
The first time I was 18, I started when I was 16. So when I was 18 and could sell, we had the whatever officer you guys have come do it at the time for the whole Valleywood staff, so we could ask questions. And it was actually now Chief Francis was up there kind of leading the way and dealing with answering all the questions at the end. It always gets into what ifs, but that's kind of where I met him through those couple things, and he's a big golfer. So, and just working here forever and kind of seeing him go, and then meeting different officers throughout the way. There's a sergeant here that I graduated high school with and stuff like that. So, but Francis was the first one out there preaching it to all of us.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
That's exciting. It's kind of cool to see, to hear your side, this is the chief's kind of trajectory or path that he's taken, done a lot of different assignments with the police department, and to see him grow into chief is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah, exactly. And just getting to know the department in general. I mean, we work with your retail officers. They come and pick up posits every day, so I've seen a few of them over the years and get to know them a little bit. And like I said, Francis, a big golfer. Dahlstrom's a big golfer too. So getting to work with all them and work side and side, and knowing, because the other thing working with the PD for us is to make sure my staff knows call at any time. We're all on the same team and they're safe. And a lot of times, like I said, if it looks weird, it probably is. And just feel free to give a call, especially we're open till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. So even if it's not serving beer at 9 o'clock, if there's that person lingering or, making sure getting Uber, just to be able to have that resource in the AVPD to help us problem solve. They're not qualified necessarily to do it, but we got people that can get out and help us out. And
your staff, they can definitely rely on us.
Yeah.
Because that's what we get paid for.
Yeah.
We get paid to handle that confrontation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's good. That's also part of the reason why I like getting the AVPD in to help train, is just so they feel more comfortable. I mean, we're, grow up 911s for emergencies and all that, and it is, but just to make sure that they're there to make sure everything's safe and good. And if you have any questions, and having that instant resource to, to call over, and, if it's not an emergency, at least a patrol officer will call you and walk you through what to do and come over, and just having that resource to make sure everyone's getting safe and getting out of there safe and all that.
Now that you say it, understanding how sometimes people who have had too much to drink can be belligerent. And then, like you said, you employ a lot of seasonal folks who are high school, college students, don't have a lot of experience in handling a situation like that. That I can see how that would be intimidating for them. Yeah,
and we're especially lucky. Our customer base is great, so we don't deal with problems a lot. AVPD's not out at our place.
We certainly are not.
Just having there and being able to notice when something happens and they call and, yeah, this was the right decision to call. We'll help you out. That's what we're here for. Just continue to make them feel good and how to do certain problems, making sure that, it's not a bad idea to hand someone a water, or, hey, make sure you have an Uber, or,
right.
That kind of stuff. Because especially those, and I'm sure you know this more than I do, but working with alcohol for a while, those who know they're doing something wrong are very sneaky at it and good with it.
Yeah.
Making sure we're not kind of falling into that and keeping eyes on people. And, we're not a place in general that we want to be where we're serving someone 12 beers. That's not our business model.
Right.
Being careful and just working with them through that it's challenging at sometimes, but like I said, our staff development, what they see, I think is the best thing they get out of the job. I mean, they're coming here for a summer job for money and working for tips and all that, but they come out of it dealing with everyone. I mean, we have golfers that are 6, we have golfers that are 96, we have nice ones, we have ones that are crabby, and, and someone who's having a great time after they play, after they get their hot dogs and go TF1. You never know what happened in that 4 hours. So, just judging and keeping everyone like that. And especially COVID shot golf through the roof. I mean, it
Really?
Changed the game. Golf courses were struggling in 2018, 2019. 2020 came. We opened in April. All golf courses opened the first day the governor came out. And I mean, we filled a tee sheet in 45 minutes. I mean, we had 220 golfers 45 minutes after we opened.
Wow.
And it stayed like that for a year. It's the only thing they could do to get out. And we had to space stuff out and follow within the rules and do all sorts of stuff to do that. And then people, I think, figured out, especially early 20s to early 40s, kind of in golf, we're the missed generation. Our parents didn't necessarily play, so we weren't playing. And then they all got into it and realized you're outside with friends, having fun. A lot of former athletes, hit a small ball a long way. So that made a boost. And that kind of consumer also just, is out there to have a good time, not just to search for the cheapest things. So, I joked going into 2022 when we took over food and beverage again, we raised the green fee by $25. And everyone's like, well, how do you do that? I said, well, we didn't raise the grain fee, but everyone buys a 6-pack of beer and a hot dog at the turn. I mean, everyone, so all those consumers are going up, and it's men, women, children, all that kind of stuff now. So it's a very different group playing golf than it was even 5 years ago, and it's trending in a positive direction.
Yeah. It's interesting. I've been hearing more and more of my partners getting out and playing golf. Mm-hmm. There were a few of us that play, and some of these guys are really good at golf.
Yeah.
Like shooting those, low to mid 80s pretty regularly, which for me, I think like if you go out and play bogey golf, that's a good round. If I'm under 90, I'm happy.
Yeah, and I think the golf industry's done a pretty good job. I'm biased. I think we've done a great job at Valleywood of bringing in, accepting the new groups of golfers. I mean, they're there to have fun, and as long as they're doing it respectfully and not affecting anyone else, they have all sorts of different games you can play out there and stay competitive. And, it's a lot of these former athletes that realize they don't want to play or get to a point where they're not going to play, hockey on Wednesday nights at the local arena or stuff like that, but they can get out on weekends and play 9 or 18. And like I said, the women that we have playing at Valleywood, I wish I could know a number of what the increase, but I mean, it's a 100% increase over 5 years ago on a Saturday of people playing. And we have a ladies league completely filled this year with, I think we had 30 or 40 people on a waiting list.
Wow.
So it's, just everyone's getting into it for the recreation, for the fun, and it's just something that, everyone can do. And it's not just the old man boys game that it had the reputation of growing up and this expensive, highfalutin sport. It's out there for entertainment, and we're there to have fun.
And you guys aren't priced at a point where it's going to not be accessible for people.
Exactly, and that's kind of the big goal of the municipal golf operation is, the goal is to pay for ourselves, and the goal is to, create enough money to continue to upgrade equipment and upgrade the course as we need to.
Yeah.
Just like everything else, price has gone up, so you got to stay with that, and, we're aware of what our local courses charge and stuff like that, but the goal of the municipal course is to make it accessible for everyone. We put in a junior season pass a couple of years ago. This year it's $250. Junior can play anytime they want all summer, just can't play before 11 on weekends. So, continuing to grow that game. Then we get to know those juniors as well. They have to go through an etiquette class. They have to get to know me a little bit. Those juniors kind of bond with them, help with them, and honestly, 99% of it's for the good. So we can reward these kids and, their future customers. I'm selfish, their future employees, getting them acclimated, getting them, how to be a good customer, how to be a good golfer, and still, like you said, give back to that community and the fact of making it accessible to everyone. We do, lessons and clinics, and we have senior rates during the week. And so trying to figure that out where we can still stay paying for what we need to do, but still have areas that you can play golf for cheaper at a more reasonable rate, get out, do a couple things like that. So yeah, it's very fun to be able to try to help grow the game in that fact and be able to do it a little differently than some of these private courses have to with being a municipal operation.
Yeah. You guys have a decent driving range?
Yep.
How many stalls are there?
I think right now we have 28. We actually just last year did a full irrigation replacement and some on-course improvements, and the driving range is one of them. So we redid our complete driving range. For anyone who's listening that's been to Valleywood, driving range was a pretty generous term to give our driving range for the last 15 years.
Okay.
But we completely redid the concrete. We got 30 top-of-the-line mats, redid some netting, redid some grading on the range to try to make it a better place for people to come out. And it's the beginning of the season's been crazy. The compliments and everything's good. Yeah. But driving range is another thing that's changed. Driving range used to be you're practicing to get better. Now it's as much of an outing as golfing is. I mean, you go to our driving range on a Tuesday night at 6 o'clock, it's packed. And there might be one guy who's a scratch golfer that's practicing his wedge game, and it might be 4 buddies all having 4 beers, hitting off the same bag, just banging balls out there. Yeah. So, we got ball machine up there so people can go buy credit cards. Beverage cart pops by there occasionally, and, it's a good way for people to get out.
Yeah, very cool. Can you still hit the water tower?
Yeah. Well, Public Works wouldn't like me saying it, but to be fair, they built the water tower after the driving range. So, yes, we are working on that. Okay. Some of the netting up there. The second tee's protected, which is kind of up there, so that's good. And actually, the big focus was we shifted. We didn't want people to hit the water tower before, but really the way the range was aimed, everyone was aimed directly at the water tower.
Straight into the water tower.
And not that golfers always hit where they aim, but it was aimed straight at it. So this one is aimed more towards the middle. We got some yard signs out there, put some targets out there. Golfers tend to like to hear things go boom. So if you put some targets towards the center of the range, they'll aim at those to try to keep just some of the balls away from up there.
Yeah.
But it's still the occasional issue when you're dinging.
Is the number 3 tee box ever going to go back to where it is, or is it going to still play along?
No, it should be back. That was part of the reconstruction of last year. So we added 4 tees back there. So there's one all the way back, almost right on McAndrews. You're overlooking there, pretty cool. And then 2 more going forward. So those are growing in nice. Takes a while for the grass to grow in and establish roots.
Absolutely.
Early July, we'll probably be back on it. And then same with, we put a new tees in 15. So we'll probably be back on those. Par 5 over the water right off the driveway on the back 9.
Yes.
So we put in some new tees there too. Those will be ready about the same time. And the focus point also on us kind of doing everything going forward is to make the game more fun for younger people, older people, and those who just aren't great. Valleywood's a really hard golf course. We're losing a lot. We've lost almost all of the, I would say, beginner golf courses around here. Ridge Valley's closed in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Parkview closed a decade ago. We got some others that could potentially be closing. So building some of those forward tees and making the course easier, just to make it more inviting for everyone to come out. We had a golf course architect come out before we did the project, and we walked the whole 18 holes. He kind of walked us through everything he saw and was thinking, and I remember looking at Jim, my boss, after 18, and I'm like, if you're not very good and you finish 16, 17, 18, I don't know why you'd ever come back. It's hard. You could lose a lot of balls. So just making that, especially the last few holes, no different than if you have a good meal at a restaurant and the waiter irks you in the last 4 minutes, that's all you remember. Yeah. So, we're trying to make that, exit from our course as fun as possible. Same with making some improvements to 8 and 9 to make those a little more friendly for the 9-hole players. 9's now a par 5 and trying to make it a little more playable.
That was a super long par 4.
Yep, exactly. So we kind of switched some things around to make that a par 5, just to make it more enjoyable. I mean, we can make it as hard as we want. I mean, if we ever hosted a tournament, we can make it as hard as we want, but that's 2% of our customer base, and a lot of them aren't playing here to play a hard course. So making it more fun, more inviting. Number one story by far I hear of people, whether they just played Valleywood or haven't played in 20 years, this hole 4 is a short par 5, called the easiest par 5 south of the river. Everyone's got a story there. Oh, I made birdie here this day, or I made eagle here this day. They don't talk about the 9 they made on the hardest hole in the course. They don't care. Right. So just, kind of getting those memories and some of those good stories out, and that's what you want people talking about when they leave the course.
Yeah, because 4 is the one that runs north on right off of Pilot Knob.
Correct.
And if you can hit to the top of the hill, you got a nice downhill.
Yep. There's a lot of ways to get down on that green, and the balls kind of all break towards the green. So there's a lot of opportunities to hit good shots or at least have good results, and that's what people want to do. So just making it more like that for the majority of our users, and a lot of our user groups for tournaments are charities for local youth basketball associations or EVAA or whatever like that. So you got a lot of non-golfers coming together, and if you beat them up for 5 hours, they're not going to plan that next year. So
right.
We want to make sure, and our service will make sure they have a good time. We want to have the golf course to give it as much of a chance as we can.
Yeah. Okay, so for anybody who listens and golfs, what's the course record?
Course record 61, shot by Tyler Eckenberg. It was a pretty funny day because he was playing, and it was the Wednesday after we aerated the greens. So if you don't know what that means, once a year we punch holes in the greens, let the air in, let the grass and dirt decompact. Every golfer's nightmare. And he played the Wednesday after, so we aerated him Sunday. And you put sand, and you don't let the grass grow or anything like that for 4 or 5 days to let it heal and all that fun stuff. And yeah, he shot 61 on holy greens.
Yeah.
Didn't even eagle the 4th hole, so he probably left one out there.
Really?
And he was playing with 2 of our regulars. One of them's a senior who just played to get his exercise out there, good guy. And the other one's a guy who still plays out at Valleywood occasionally, and he used to shoot about 100 at the time. And they'd go up and stand on 16, and he did the unthinkable and said, man, if you make a couple birdies in a row here, you could shoot like 60. And it's like, come on, man, you can't say that.
Can't say that.
You can't say that.
Yeah.
You can't jinx them. You can't talk about the no-hitter in the 8th. So, but I think he ended up birdieing 17 or 18 to shoot 61. So that's the course record. We got the scorecard in there and signed it. But yeah, I think he shot 61. I think one guy shot 99 and the other at like 104. So it's a pretty cool scorecard in there. That he's just out there and kind of just golf in general, banging it around. And he got hot.
That's cool.
Good player. He actually is a caddy on the LPGA Tour now.
Oh, wow. What's your best score?
My best score, I think 75 I shot at Valleywood one time. I went through a period of time where I was playing a lot. I thought about getting into the teaching game. So in order to go through the PGA of America, you got to pass player ability tests. So probably 10 years ago now, just shorter, I was trying to practice a lot and play a lot. And I had a good streak, started off good, and then got into kind of a slump where I wasn't hitting it as good as I knew I needed to. And at that point, I hated the game, and I remember playing like 5 holes one day and being like 3 over, 4 over after 5 and being like, I hate this. And so that's when I'm like, I never can have my wage tied to my golf game anymore. This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I stopped, and I still occasionally can play a decent round, probably nothing like at 74 unless I quit early, but I can get out there and hit it a little bit. But yeah, I was all right for a pretty decent amount of time, and then just now it's fun. Now it's fun again.
Yeah, that's the best part about golf. Like my rounds usually go like, I hate this game. Man, I just hit a bomb. I love this game. I hate it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. You always hit a good one on 18. That's because we got to get you to come back somehow. And I played, like you said, with a lot of new golfers. I worked here in high school. I couldn't beg guys to come play golf with me.
Yeah.
And now, all my friends play golf. I turn down tee times all the time. I got a lot of friends in sales and stuff like that. So they're playing all the time. But yeah, it's always that, I hate this game. Our joke amongst friends is you can't hurt my feelings because of the stuff I say to myself about the golf game. There's nothing you can say worse than I haven't said to myself.
Oh man, my negative self-talk goes through the roof. You're thinking to yourself like, just hit a good shot. Like I don't need to bomb this one. And then you duff it and you're like, yeah, man, wow.
Yeah, and it's
great shot.
Yeah, and there's nothing worse than the duff it and then hit it perfect the next time. It's like, I'd feel so much better with myself if I would. It was easy if I would have just done that, but
consistent contact.
Yes.
Right? That's what golf is about, and there's a reason I don't get paid to play golf.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I always say that too. My friends have gotten better, but when they got in, a lot of them were former athletes and significantly better athletes than me, so they come in and I'm smoking them. And it's hard, man. It's a different game. You can't just get up there and power it, and you got to work it through. And
yeah, it is definitely a game of finesse, and there's a reason they're professional golfers, right? And they're hitting the ball 330 yards on a drive consistently and accurately, and they've figured out how to combine that power and finesse.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm just I'm a knuckle dragging cop that has a club, and I just swing it at a small object.
Yeah.
As hard as I can.
Yeah. Well, and even me, I'll go out there, and I hate it, and my buddies will be playing with some And they're like, yeah, he's the operations guy at Valleywood. I'm like, well, let's be clear. I run the course. I don't play nothing, because those are very different.
Right.
And you see those guys. We had a guy that played out of Valleywood for a while named Sammy Schmitz, who actually won the United States Mid-Am in 15 or 16. He got to play the Masters as an amateur, and I've played with him a couple times. Best golfer I've ever seen. He plays Valleywood a different way than anyone because he's so good at it, and can just hit it where he goes. And he tried mini tours before he became an AM and made it about 6 months and not even close. So there's those guys at the top level are different type of special.
Yeah, absolutely. But the cool part about golf is, like you said, you've got some guys that were really fantastic athletes in their respective sport and come out, and golf is a completely different animal for them to try to master.
Exactly.
And it's a way for everybody who has different athletic abilities to get together and be competitive in that little foursome.
Exactly. And there's United States Golf Association creates handicaps, so it's a way to give and receive strokes on the course to try to even it out. So me or you could play with Tiger Woods and have somewhat of a competitive match, and it just feels those competitive juices. There's different games to play in golf, so you can get buddies all over that. If I'm playing basketball with a guy who's a better athlete than me, he's going to smoke me every time.
Right.
But I could play someone to golf, and we can still have fun and put a little $20 side match on it, or play a little game, and winner buys dinner or loser buys dinner, something like that. And it keeps those competitive juices going. And then there's a lot of recreational league opportunities out there too for men, women, juniors, all that, to just get out there and play. And it's a good way to play cool courses. I mean, Minnesota Golf Association and the Minnesota Public Golf Association have multiple tournaments that amateurs can sign up for and play at some of these courses that they may not get to, or some of these country clubs, or even when you get better, qualify for some of these national tournaments. And it's a way for some of those competitive juices to stay flowing, and it's not going to hurt you as much as some of the other sports you're playing are. Most likely hockey, you're not going to take a check or something like that, but it's a good way to get everyone together and go out there, good father, son, mother, daughter, sister, brother, kind of sport and stuff like that. And there's a lot of golfers out there that, like getting out.
Yeah. If there's one thing that you would tell an aspiring golfer or somebody who's thinking about getting into the sport, what's one thing you would tell them?
I think my friends are probably tired of me hearing it, but go get lessons. I mean, just spend 3 30-minute sessions, 3 60-minute sessions, 6. One of your local PGA professionals, most golf courses have them. Look at them online. They do virtual. They do winter training. But the golf swing is so weird with it starts at how you hold the club and address it. And I mean, you can put Tiger Woods somewhere, and if you line him up wrong and he addresses it wrong, he's not going to be able to hit the ball. So go get lessons would be the number one thing. John Anderson is at Valleywood. Bethany Hawkinson's at Valleywood. We got a PGA and an LPGA professional. They both teach. Almost every other course has them, and they can take anyone from 6 to, like I always say, 86, and they work with your swing. But that's the number one thing. Everyone goes out and buys new clubs, and technology helps. I mean, especially now, if you got a club from the 90s, you are at a significant disadvantage from people who have clubs now. Yeah. I mean, technology has definitely helped. But once you get to a capable technology, there's nothing that can replace that. Tutelage, and with kindergartners, you could teach a kindergartner 1 + 1 = 2. But there's a reason we have teachers to do that, because they're better at it and they can work with people and not create that frustration. And these teachers are the same way, or the golf coaches are the same way. They're teaching you, they're taking the personal aspect out of it, so you're not getting angry at your friend or your son or your mom. And they have drills and stuff like that they can see. So spend a lot of it's reasonable. You can get a 3-lesson pack for $150, $180, and it will immensely help your game, no matter what. More than that driver. Used to joke, we don't have as many anymore because we don't sell as many clubs, but guys would come in, I got a new driver, I hit it 15 yards further. It's like, well, you've told me that the last 10 years, so you must be hitting it 550 yards now if I'm doing the math correctly.
Right.
Because
I played an old FT3 Callaway that I bought in 2010, and I played it all the way up until last year. And I'd tried different drivers at Golf Galaxy or whatever. I'm like, spending $500 for 10 more yards.
Yeah, and there's definitely a time and place for all that. When you're playing, I mean, it's no different than any other hobby. Yeah. You're investing in yourself, and it's worth it. But if you think that's going to fix your game, probably not. Whereas a couple lessons will help. But the technology is, it's awesome.
I will say that getting fitted was also huge
Yep.
versus just going into Golf Galaxy or wherever you buy your golf clubs, picking a set off the shelf. One of the cool things was we did a 5-wood shaft for my 3-wood.
Yep.
I've been more consistent with contact.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where those educated PXG, their fitters are the top notch. That's what they do. PXG puts their money into that. So you're getting a mini lesson inside that fitting too, because he's looking at your swing and all that kind of stuff. So fitted golf clubs, I mean, if they're too long, too short, especially if the shaft is too stiff or too flexible, that's going to mess with some of your stuff. And even for the good players, golf's a game about playing your misses. So getting a club that can minimize those misses, which is what all this technology is doing, is if you're hitting it off the toe, instead of losing 20 yards and going 20 yards right, now you're losing 5 yards and it's still going straight.
Yep.
That's step 2 after, I'd say, get a lesson or two.
Get lessons first.
And then make sure your clubs are fitted. And you can fit them a little bit after the fact, but it's best to do it right off the bat. And most places fit you for free when you're buying their clubs, or a lot of these places are very good at helping you and that kind of stuff. So it's it's a great way to do it. Especially, like you said, PXG is second to none when it comes to their fitting. Second swing golf Van's pretty close, but PXGs, they're good.
I got lessons years ago that helped out a lot. Like, I get invited to play in some other 4-man scrambles or whatever it is, and just don't want to be the guy that's out there and we don't use a single shot of mine on 18 holes,
Yeah, and that's the other thing. It's always been the, what do they say? It's where the deals get done around the golf course. It's always somewhat been like that. But now with everyone playing, there's a ton of corporate tournaments. I mean, we're looking at working with a Minneapolis or St. Paul company. They host a clinic every year for the females. They do a males one too, but for females in the corporate business who want to learn how to play golf, because they may have had to turn down, hey, you want to go play in this, and they've never hold a club. So we're going to do a 20-30 lady clinic to just tell them the basics of golf, how to hold a club, how to swing the club, get a little bit, so at least they can go out there. Because there's a lot of corporate outings, especially as marketing gets bigger and everyone's job's a little marketing and a little PR and a little this, to make sure you just know the very basics so you can get out there and bang it around. And competitive-wise, the ladies in these scrambles a lot of times are way ahead of the guys on the tee boxes. So if you can, bang a ball, we got a couple ladies league members that play in scrambles all the time with some other groups because they can bang the ball off the tee. And if they're getting a huge advantage and they're smashing it, I mean, they get to pick what tournaments they want to play in.
Do you guys have to turn away a lot of the big tournaments like that? Like the corporate outings?
So pre-COVID, no. Post-COVID, it's definitely changed. I mean, we did a decent amount of outings before. A lot of courses do more. But now, we're kind of restricted to Mondays. And then in the fall, September is where I try to get a lot of our corporate outings. One, it's the best time, in my opinion, to play golf. It's gorgeous. Colors start to turn. That's when our league are done and have those more Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays available. Our Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays are packed. So to keep that accessibility to the public, as well as, it gets real expensive for shotgun tournaments when you got to block the course off and do this. So for the consumer, it's even really expensive. So I try to migrate them to different days. But definitely since COVID, the golf outing industry is very different than it was before.
One final question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the dream course?
To make it easier, I'm going to eliminate Augusta. I would say Augusta's number one. I mean, hands down, the Masters, got to get invited there. So I won't eliminate. I'll say it's Augusta. I mean, seeing the history there, I'm a little bit of a golf nerd. I had a roommate for a while who's in the PGA program. It's a huge golf nerd. So we always, the cable package when we worked together, it was, we just need to have the golf channel. I mean, we're paying for all these channels because they put the golf channel at the top, and just watching all the history that's been made there. And now it's even kind of taking on another lore as golf's getting bigger and more popular, because now it's a celebrity fest. I mean, they show the sidelines at Augusta and they treat everyone the same there. So you got Steph Curry walking by, or Kyle Rudolph, or Adam Thielen was down there this year, and they're just patrons. I would love to go play there. I would love to be able to have like 7 hours so I could actually play, but also go hit all these famous shots that everyone's hit down there, that we've always seen, and have some of that. But I think just from the stories I've heard of how they treat you and just what it is, I mean, you get out of the car and they know your name, and it's it's second to none. Just a cool story on Augusta is there was a guy who, I want to say it's 2 or 3 years ago, played there, got invited by a member, wasn't a member, made a hole-in-one on like 7 or something.
Wow.
Yep. So they got a scorecard and they got him flagged before he left, and blah, blah, blah. And like 4 weeks later, he gets a delivery in the mail. It's a 3-foot by 5-foot painting of the picture of him holding the hole-in-one next to the flag, hand painted, 3x5.
Wow.
They send it to him, and it's got a bill. It's like $9,000. Said if you want this, it's $9,000. If you don't, send it back. And so he debated, a lot of money. He ended up buying it, so he sent in the check, and with the receipt, they sent him back an invitation to be a member at Augusta, and said if you were here this day, spent this money, and were willing to buy this picture, that's the kind of member we want at Augusta National.
Really?
Yeah. Augusta doesn't confirm anything, but that seems to be a fairly confirmed story. So just crazy stuff like that.
Wow.
I think that would be number one on the list.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, Masters Week is in the golf world. It's a holiday.
Yeah, it is.
And it's literal a week of just that's all you do.
Yeah, it's nothing but golf, and everyone complains about how they do the coverage each year, and everyone figures out how to watch it. And social media for 5 days is everyone at their computer with their iPad or their phone next to it watching it.
Right.
And it's like the Monday after the Super Bowl, but for 5 days, where it's like, as long as you kind of get your stuff done and and don't make it completely obvious.
But you have to watch it.
You have to. You never know what's going to happen. So.
Right. Well, thanks, Jordan. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Cody. Appreciate it.
I'm glad that we were able to chat, talk a little golf. We talked a little bit about the rules and regulations around your alcohol sales, but then also got some good visibility on Valleywood. I hope that you see some new faces, and I hope that some folks here found some really great information about Valleywood and some of the programs that you guys offer.
Yeah, appreciate that. Our website's at valleywoodgolf.com. If you got any questions on there, all our contacts info is on there. My name's Jordan. My info's on there too if you have any questions or want to reach out.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, Cody. Have a good one.
Hey, folks, we want this to be engaging for you as well, so please drop a comment wherever you follow us on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to this podcast. Tell your friends, tell your family. We'd like to get this out to as many people as possible. We want people to know who the police officers of Apple Valley are. If you have questions or comments, something you'd like to hear about, reach out to us. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to address some of those topics that you guys have questions about as well. We look forward to having you back next time.